Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Today I'm going to be speed painting some Dungeons & Dragons orcs, and there's two main reasons why I'm speed painting them. First of all, I have a lot of painting projects at the moment, and this is just a way of clearing out some of the backlog quickly. But also, if you're playing Dungeons & Dragons, or even if you are running a Mordor or Uruk-hai army for Lord of the Rings, you probably have masses of orcs or orc-like beings, and I thought it was a good excuse to show a really quick and dirty way to get them painted up and on the table. For this example, I am using plastic miniatures from the Wrath of Ashardalon board game. These miniatures are nice enough, but they are not the best quality in the world, and I'm not too fussed about making them look immaculate, so this is your trigger warning. In this video, I am not worrying too much about cleanup, mold lines, and anything like that. I've pretty much taken them out of the box and given them a Chaos Black spray prime, and we are away. I'm starting with a coat of Lead Belcher, and these orcs are wearing a lot of armour, so Lead Belcher is going to do most of the work for me. I'm going to put down a good coat over all of the metal areas, and I'm not worrying at this stage if I go over the face, the hair, any exposed skin. It doesn't matter. I'm just making sure I get a good coat of Lead Belcher over everything metallic. And one of the things I'm sort of going for with this painting guide is I grew up watching Ralph Bakshi's animated Lord of the Rings, and the orcs in that are just these shadowy figures. Most of the time it's just rotoscoping over some live action footage. You don't get a lot of detail, you can't really see what their faces are, they are just these very dark, evil creatures. And I want to capture a little bit of that dark murkiness in what I'm doing here. Although I must stress I'm not trying to recreate the look of the animated Lord of the Rings movie. With the Lead Belcher applied, we're going to do a Nuln Oil wash, and we are washing over everything. Not worrying too much about pooling or anything like that, we just want to make sure it goes into all of the chainmail recesses, provides all that recess shading, makes the details pop, and tones down the metallic shine of the Lead Belcher. You really can slosh this on quite haphazardly without too many concerns. Because remember, we are trying to do this as quickly as possible. Next up, I'm switching to Necron Compound, and I'm going to do a dry brush with this. You don't have to use Necron Compound. You can use any metallic colour. You can even use the Lead Belcher you used for the initial base coat. We just want to brighten up the highlights and help with the definition. We're now switching to Eshin Grey, and we're going to paint the orc's hair. Any dark grey will do for this. And the only thing you need to worry about is making sure you don't get it over any of the metallic areas. And then we're switching to Dawnstone to do all of the exposed flesh. That's the arms, the hands, and the face. We're going for a classic D&D dark grey skin look for these. We're then going back to Nuln Oil, and we are going to slosh another coat of this over everything again. So it's going back over all of the metallic areas, and it's also going to go over the hair and the skin. And what we're doing there is we're darkening down the hair, we're darkening down the skin tone, and we're also grubbying up the armour again. Because we did that dry brush, you will still get the different highlights in the armour, but everything will be much darker. While that's drying, I'm switching to Screamer Pink, and I'm just going to put a dot of this on the tongue. This is something you can probably leave out if you're going for extra speed. And then I'm switching to Pallid Witch Flesh. I'm watering it down slightly, and I'm just going to dot in the teeth and the fangs. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it really does help to make the face pop on these miniatures. And because we're going for speed with this, I'm not worrying about the eyes at all. I'm just leaving them in dark shadows. I'm now switching to Dryad Bark, and I'm going to use this on all of the fabric areas. There's like some leather padding on one side and a few straps. I'm using the really dark Dryad Bark because I wanted to maintain that very dark colour scheme, and again trying to create a little bit of that dark look from the Lord of the Rings cartoon. But you can obviously use any brown you want, and you can use a much brighter brown if you feel that you want your miniatures to have some pops of brighter colour. I'm then switching to Balthazar Gold, and I'm just going to pick out a few metallic areas with this, mainly the pauldron on the left shoulder, but also there's a few buckles and things. And this is really just to break up all of the Lead Belcher. And while that's drying, I'm switching to Mechanicus Standard Grey, and I'm just going to put a very quick coat of that over the base in preparation for putting some texture paint on in a moment. You can probably leave this off, but I find that it's better to put a flat coat of a colour down and then put the texture paint over the top, because if your texture paint misses any areas, there is a colour underneath. I'm now switching to Agrax Earthshade, and I'm going to apply that over all of the brown and all of the Balthazar Gold. Again, we're grubbying things up, but we're also helping with recess shading. You don't want too much going over the other areas, but it doesn't matter if a little bit does. It's just going to add to the overall dinginess of the miniature. And then I am going to my Astro Granite and I am applying this all over the base. And I tend to use Astro Granite for things like Dungeons and Dragons miniatures because it's a really neutral base colour. And then I can use them in the board game, I can use them on tabletop games, and there isn't anything overly distracting on the base. And then the final things to do are to give the Astro Granite a coat of Nuln Oil just to help with the definition, and then to apply Abaddon Black around the rim of the base, and I am calling that done. As I said, the aim here was speed painting, and I managed to paint a set of 3 of these in no time at all. I would say time with brush in hand is just shy of 20 minutes per miniature. Most of the time was spent waiting for washes to dry, but by painting 3 at once, by the time I'd finished the 3rd one, in most cases I could immediately move on to the next stage of the 1st one again. Very, very quick, and I would say probably 1 or 2 steps above the quality of a pre-painted Dungeons and Dragons miniature, which I am more than happy with. But that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.